talk about Miss Donna Go, specifically her use of the word less fortunate. For context, listen to this clip from one of her recent lives.
I see somebody write something in the comment. We don't like to call children less fortunate. For some reason, I don't use that word. If there's something about it, it's like you're stigmatized. Just say you want to bless a child. Don't use the word the less fortunate. I've never used that in my comment, in my charity or anything. I just don't like that word here. So if you want to bless a child, just say bless a child. We don't want to say the word less fortunate. It just do something to me I don't like. You understand? Like what they said, why when you go and people say poor pick me or she poor or so. I just don't like that word. So we having children, you're not going to discriminate them and say this one is less fortunate and that one is fortunate. You understand? They didn't say it in a bad way. I'm just telling them I don't like that word. The less fortunate, I don't like it. Alright? Yeah, so go ahead and sing for Auntie Donna. Alright. So guys, let me tell you, when I was growing up, the less fortunate is not a bad term. So when I was growing up, my mother have 6 children and me know about. Like, you know, when little my mother is poor. And my mother always walk up and down and take like clothes. For people who know me from above rocks and know me personally when I did small before my father took me. And this lady used to elbow, who just breed up all this whole heap and less fortunate picnic and turn trouble on the road and so. So that word kind of have something in my head. You know, it's not that it is a bad word. To me, it just like you stigmatize. Okay, you fortunate or you have this and that. So, more just like you say, if we are talk about children, we don't differentiate the less fortunate from the fortunate. You understand? Because children never ask to be less fortunate or fortunate. We bring them in the world. So, I don't like the stigmatize. You understand? So, me in my book, me feel like nobody call me less fortunate through me poor, me not have it. Just say, boy, me I go bless Donna and me I go bless Lulu children them. So that is what me mean. I know it is not a bad word, but to me, something just in my head when me little, me always hear one lady say, you know? Yeah, so that is what me mean by. And that is why I say, the stone that the builder refused in life always become the head cornerstone. You understand? So I am not saying that it is a bad word. I just don't. Alright, so me I go do something. Me I go say me I go turn go feed the less fortunate. It is a good word. Me I go say me I go feed the homeless, or me I go feed the people them on the street, or if me I go help somebody, me I go differentiate them. Me I go say me I go build a house for the less fortunate. Me I go say me I go bless a house. Me I go call them by them name. I want to understand where me I come from. You understand? You understand? I don't mean it in a bad way. I never yet call one of the recipients them the less fortunate yet. I call them by them name. So if I ratty children, let's say Basta son, every recipient have a name. So I go by names. I just not like the terms the less fortunate. That is just me. You understand? So that is what I mean when I said that. You understand?
HiNative.com defines the less fortunate as people who are poor or have less, not rich or wealthy people. Less fortunate is not a derogatory term unless you make it into one. It's used to describe persons of a certain social status or someone with extremely limited resources. Resources being money, food, clothing, etc. So, there is absolutely nothing wrong with calling children who are less fortunate. It's actually important that we make the distinction. If we don't, we're ignoring the underprivileged or poverty-stricken children in our society. So, what exactly is the difference between blessing a child and blessing a less fortunate child? Well, blessing a child is just that. Blessing anyone under the age of 18 regardless of their social status. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But in the context of a charity, it's again important for us to differentiate. You see, less fortunate kids majority of the times don't have any of their basic needs met. They don't have protection, good food, clean water, shelter, or clothing. So when you lend a helping hand to a less fortunate child, you're increasing their standard of living. However, when you help a fortunate child who already has all their basic needs being fulfilled, you're only giving them something that they have incredibly little to no need for at all, when that resource could have been better utilized elsewhere by another child who needed it more. Yes, children did not ask to be born fortunate or less fortunate, but the reality is that they are. In order for us to lift the less fortunate up to the status of the fortunate, we need to use these terms correctly to differentiate and help those who need it, so our children would have equal access to good quality education, water, food, and shelter. Now, about her story. I'm not gonna say that her recount was inaccurate. I can say that because I wasn't there. However, what she described, in my opinion, seems like something that is highly unlikely to happen, so I don't believe. Not saying that it didn't happen, I'm saying I don't believe that it did. It's the wording. The wording of the sentence is really off to me. The term less fortunate it doesn't fit in. So I think she mixed a truth with a lie. The story is true, but the lady never used the term less fortunate. That's what I think. The fact that she said, and I quote, "For some reason I don't use that word," end quote, tells me that 1, she didn't know the meaning of the term, and 2, the term was added to the story she told as a cover-up. And the fact that she related the term less fortunate to, she related calling someone less fortunate to discriminating against them, also tells me that, again, she didn't know the meaning of the term. It was not until after the child that called in hung up that she came back and said, less fortunate is not a bad term. After persons in the comment were correcting her. So she had time to read the comments and realize that what she said was wrong. But instead of taking the corrections and apologizing, she came up with an excuse as to why she didn't like the term. And another reason why I don't believe is because of what she did with allegedly. I remember when I guess she learned a new word and she came on the live, everything was allegedly, and then persons, her own followers, were basically calling her out, saying, that's not how you use the word. And then she said, I know, but that's how I do it. But the thing is, if you're using allegedly for legal reasons, you can't add your own meaning to the word. That defeats the whole purpose. And after that, she just kept using the word allegedly. Yeah, I just wanted to add that in. Anyways, before I wrap up this video, I wanted to leave you guys with 5 facts about child poverty in Jamaica. So I have here an article by BorgenProject.org. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'll leave a link in the description below in case you wanted to read it on your own. So according to BorgenProject.org, a whole 2.8 million people live in poverty in Jamaica. The strain of poverty is heavy on all people, however, for children it is more severe. Jamaica is yet to tackle the many factors impacting child poverty. 5 facts about child poverty in Jamaica. Number 1. At least 25% of Jamaican children live under the poverty line. With the struggling economic status in Jamaica, it is difficult for the government to prioritize increasing investment in children. Instead, a large amount of the country's national budget is dedicated to debt repayment. Because poverty is most widespread in rural Jamaica, hidden from the eyes of tourists, issues impacting children are rarely addressed. Number 2. Jamaica does not have equal access to education. Minors living in rural areas may not have the option to attend school at all. While primary school is free, secondary and higher education is not, meaning that schooling beyond the primary level is often too expensive for underprivileged families. Beyond accessibility, Jamaican schools often lack resources for proper learning, which means children are not able to thrive in an educational setting. Number 3. Jamaica has a high incidence of HIV/AIDS affliction. This contributes to an overall high child mortality rate. In numbers, 10% of Jamaicans who have HIV/AIDS are under the age of 18, often as a result of mother-to-child transmission. In addition, AIDS deaths in adults result in many children becoming orphaned. Number 4. High unemployment rates lead to unstable socioeconomic conditions. Without a way to earn a stable income, many in Jamaica turn to gang activity and crime to survive. Exposure to extreme violence is common for Jamaican children, and because of high poverty levels, many young boys often join gangs themselves. In addition, many unemployed residents are forced to live without access to running water and proper sanitation, which means children and families live in unacceptable conditions. Lastly, number 5. Child labor is widespread and often essential for a family's survival. With high poverty rates across Jamaica's rural communities, some families must send their children out to work purely out of desperation. In cities, children are often seen selling merchandise, washing car windshields, and begging for money. For many, living the life of a child is an unaffordable luxury. For many, living the life of a child is an unaffordable luxury. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you guys liked it enough to subscribe. Bye bye!